All right, everyone, welcome back. Ready to dive into something maybe not the most thrilling, but super important.
I'm ready. Taxes.
Taxes
Yep.
it is. But hold on. What if I told you there are tricks to make tax time way less painful? And even maybe, like, get a bigger refund? That's kind of what we're digging into today.
That's the dream, isn't it? Most people just dread this time of year.
Totally. So we're going straight to the source, no messing around. We've got an article straight from the IRS published January 30th, 2025. Fresh off the presses, official guidance.
Right to the point. I like it.
Yeah, no myths here, just facts that hopefully put some cash back in our pocket.
And something this article really hammered home was getting organized before you even think about filing.
So like the usual suspects, right? W-2s, those 1099s, bank statements,
Right.
the stuff we all know to kind of round up.
Yep, all that. But the article also mentions some things people tend to forget about.
Oh, interesting. Like what? Give us the inside scoop.
Well, digital assets, for one. It's not
Huh.
just crypto, though that's definitely on their radar.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So beyond Bitcoin and all that.
Right. Think like online payment platforms.
Yeah.
If you're selling stuff or doing any side gigs,
Oh.
any income from those needs to be reported.
Oh, man. That reminds me of this one time. I completely blanked on a freelance project I did ages ago. The 1099 was, like, buried in my email inbox. I was scrambling last minute. It was not fun.
See, perfect example. Getting organized from the get-go can save you so much stress later on.
Truth. The article even mentioned, like, gathering any letters or notices you've gotten from the IRS all year. Who keeps that stuff?
Right. But apparently it can be helpful. And speaking of things people might not realize they need to report, the IRS is really pushing that we report all income, no matter how small, no matter how weird it seems.
Okay, wait, hold up. Seriously. Even if it's like, I don't know, $200 from selling old clothes online?
Yep, even that. Under the table stuff, odd jobs. It's all about being transparent, they say.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just like, oh, they won't notice a few hundred. They actually want it all.
Yep.
It's about everyone paying their fair share. That's how they frame it.
Okay, yeah, better safe than sorry. Not messing with the IRS, that's for sure.
Totally agree. And honestly, reporting everything can actually work out in your favor. You might qualify for deductions or credits you wouldn't have otherwise.
Interesting. So reporting more could mean a bigger refund? I see why they're so insistent on it.
Exactly. They're not just trying to catch people. They want to make sure everyone's benefiting from the system, supposedly.
All right, that makes sense. Now, can we talk about something I actually get excited for? Ditching all the paper and going digital?
The IRS is on board with that too. They're pushing electronic filing and direct deposit big time this year.
Well, yeah. It's just so much faster, so much easier. No waiting for checks in the mail.
Right. And usually with electronic filing, you can use tax software, which, let's be honest, can be a lifesaver.
Oh, totally. It does all that math for you, walks you through everything, less chance of messing up.
Exactly. And don't forget, there are even free filing options out there. Ooh, free is my favorite word. Tell me more about those.
So the IRS has a few programs depending on your income and all that.
Okay, so first up, there's IRS Free File, right? That's for what? People making $84,000 or less in 2024?
That's the one. And it's not just basic forms. You get access to some name brand software to help you through it.
Oh, cool. So it's like the good stuff, even for free.
Yep. Then there's direct file. That's only in certain states right now, 25 of them, I think. But it works for more income types and has more credits and deductions this year.
Oh, interesting. Anything else cool about direct file?
Well, it has live chat with IRS reps now, and it's mobile friendly.
Live chat with IRS reps. That's kind of awesome, like having a personal tax assistant right there.
Exactly. And then if you're comfortable with the tax forms themselves and you're making more than that 84,000 limit, there's always free file fillable forms, basically the online version of the paper forms.
So you get the like structure of the forms, but without all the hassle of actually dealing with paper.
Precisely. It's good for those DIYers who are confident in their tax knowledge.
All right, so we've got the DIY options down, but honestly, sometimes you just got to call on the pros, right?
Oh, absolutely. If your taxes are complicated, you've got investments, a business, any unique situation, hiring a professional can be worth every penny.
Okay, but real talk, how do you find a good one? There are so many out there, it's overwhelming.
Well, the IRS has this thing called the Directory of Federal Tax Return Preparers. It lists preparers with specific credentials and qualifications, so it's a good place to start.
Ah, so it's like IRS approved. I like that.
Kind of, yeah. But important to remember, most tax preparers are honest and know their stuff. But scams do happen.
Ugh, yeah. I actually had a bad experience a few years back. The preparer missed some deductions I could have taken, ended up costing me money. Definitely learned my lesson about doing your research.
Oh, I hear that. One big red flag is preparers who promise you some crazy huge refund or base their fees on a percentage of your refund.
Okay, yeah, good to know. So do your homework, ask around, and don't be shy about asking about their experience before hiring someone.
Exactly. It's your money, your peace of mind. So be thorough. No harm in that.
All right, let's switch gears a bit. Got to talk about another amazing resource, IRS.gov. It's like having a 204/7 tax buddy, always there to answer your questions.
It's seriously a fantastic resource, and so many people don't even know it exists. Answers to questions, checking your refund status, even pay your taxes all online whenever you want.
They even have that cool interactive tax assistant tool, right? Like a virtual tax advisor.
And there's the Let Us Help You section, tons of resources organized by topic, super easy to find what you need.
Love that. Okay, we've covered a lot in this first part. Before we wrap up, let's talk about staying in the tax loop all year round.
So we don't get hit with surprises, right?
Exactly. Nobody wants a last-minute scramble. Tax laws are always changing. It's like trying to hit a moving target.
I know. But the good news is the IRS is pretty active on social media these days. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram even. Get updates and announcements right there.
Wait, the IRS is on Instagram. That's hilarious. They're really trying to meet people where they are, huh?
They are. You could also sign up for their email alerts, get those tax tips delivered right to your inbox.
And there's that IRS To Go app, right? Super handy for checking your refund status and stuff.
Yep, and finding those free tax help locations if you need them. Oh, and they've got a YouTube channel too. Helpful videos on all sorts of topics.
Seriously, they've thought of everything.
Seems like it. They're making a real effort to make tax info easy to get and easy to understand.
But remember, folks, stick to the official IRS channels for your info.
Yes. Be wary of those unofficial sources and scams. The IRS won't text you or slide into your DMs asking for personal info.
Good point. If you're ever unsure, go straight to irs.gov. Don't take any chances.
Absolutely. Better to be safe than sorry, especially when it comes to the IRS.
All right, welcome back. So glad you're still with us on this tax journey.
Me too. I think this part might be my favorite, though.
Oh, why is that? What are we diving into now?
Deductions and credits. You know, the stuff that can actually save you money or even boost your refund.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely more exciting than, like, organizing receipts.
Right. But honestly, this is where I get a little confused sometimes. What exactly is the difference between a deduction and a credit?
Oh, yeah, good question. They sound kind of similar.
They do. But think of it this way. A deduction is like a discount. It lowers your taxable income. So let's say you earned, I don't know, $50,000 last year, and you qualify for $10,000 in deductions.
Okay, I'm following so far.
Now, you're only being taxed on that $40,000 of income, not the full amount.
I see. So it's like shrinking the amount the IRS can even look at.
Exactly. Now, a tax credit is even better. It's a direct reduction of the taxes you owe, dollar for dollar.
Oh, wow. Okay, so like if I owe $2,000 in taxes but have a $500 credit, I'd only actually owe $1,500.
Exactly. Like a straight-up rebate from the IRS. Cash back, baby.
Okay, yeah, that's way better than just lowering the taxable income part. Credits sound pretty awesome.
They are, especially if you qualify for a refundable credit. Means you could even get money back, even if you didn't owe any taxes to begin with.
Whoa, wait, really? Even if you owe zero, you could get money back. That's wild.
That's a thing. But anyway, back to deductions. What are some common ones people might be eligible for?
Yeah, break it down for us. What should we be looking out for?
Well, there's a ton, but some of the most popular ones are for things like mortgage interest, property taxes, charitable donations, medical expenses even.
Oh, yeah, right. I always forget about those, especially the medical expenses one. Those can add up quick.
They can. And even student loan interest can sometimes be deductible. There are two main ways to claim these deductions.
Okay, hit me with those options.
So you can itemize, which means like listing out each expense individually, or you can take the standard deduction, which is a set amount based on your filing status.
Okay. So how do I know which one is better, itemizing versus standard? Is there like a trick to figuring that out?
It really depends on your situation. If all your itemized deductions added up are more than the standard deduction amount, then itemizing is going to save you more money.
So it's like a little game of strategy, see which path leads to more savings?
Exactly. And then on the credit side, some popular ones are the child tax credit, the earned income tax credit, there's the child independent care credit, and even the American Opportunity Tax Credit for education expenses.
Okay, those all sound pretty valuable, especially that child tax credit. Kids are expensive.
No kidding. That one's specifically to help out families. And the Earned Income Tax Credit is a big one. It's refundable for low to moderate income workers. So even if you don't owe taxes, you might get money back.
Okay, we talked about this with the other credit, but it still blows my mind. You could owe nothing and actually gain money because of a credit. That's amazing.
It's a powerful tool, for sure. But figuring out what you qualify for can get pretty confusing.
Yeah, no kidding. Feels like you need a degree in tax law just to sort through all these options.
Right. So do your research. IRS website's a good starting point. They even have tools to help figure out your eligibility.
Oh, that's helpful. And don't forget about tax software too, right? We talked about that in the last part, but it can really guide you through all this stuff.
Absolutely. Helps make sure you're not missing out on potential savings.
So the takeaway here is do your homework. Don't just assume you don't qualify for anything. Explore those deductions and credits. It can make a huge difference.
Couldn't agree more. Every dollar counts, so it's worth putting in the effort.
All right, let's tackle something less fun, but just as important. Record keeping. Ugh, the paperwork.
I know, right? But it's a necessary evil.
Okay, I'm stealing myself for this. Why is keeping good records so crucial?
Well, imagine getting audited. The IRS is going to want to see proof of everything you claimed on your return. Think of records like receipts to back up your story.
So if I say I donated $500 to charity, I better have the receipt to prove it.
Yep. No documentation, no dice. You could end up owing more, or even facing penalties. Not worth the risk.
Oh, yeah, that's a hard pass. So what kind of records should we be keeping in general?
Anything and everything related to your income and expenses. W-2s, 1099s, those bank statements, receipts, invoices, basically anything that backs up the numbers on your tax return.
That sounds like a lot. Any tips for staying organized with all that stuff?
Go digital, scan your documents, use cloud storage, keeps it organized and easy to find.
Smart. Way better than those shoeboxes full of receipts I have stuffed in my closet.
Right. And speaking of organization, remember those time frames we talked about for keeping tax records?
You mean that general rule of thumb, keep everything for at least 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years is a good starting point, but there are exceptions. Got to watch out for those.
Yeah.
If you claim a loss from, say, worthless securities or bad debt, hang on to those records for 7 years.
7 years. Wow, okay. Anything else we should know about those exceptions?
Well, if you underreported income by, like, more than 25% of your gross income, keep records for 6 years, just in case.
Yikes. All right. So definitely a good idea to double check those specific guidelines, either on the IRS website or with a tax pro.
Absolutely. Better safe than sorry, right?
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to the IRS.
Okay, so we've covered deductions, credits, and the importance of good record keeping. Anything else we should keep in mind as we navigate this tax world?
One thing that often gets overlooked is staying informed about changes to tax laws. They can change a lot, and those changes might affect you.
It's like trying to hit a moving target. How are we supposed to keep up with all those changes?
Well, again, the IRS website is your best friend. They've got a whole section for news and updates on tax law changes. And remember those email alerts and social media accounts we talked about earlier.
Right. Stay in the loop, people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're ever scratching your head about something tax-related, don't hesitate to call in a professional. They can give you personalized advice, help you navigate those changes.
Okay, great advice. So we've covered a ton of ground in this part. Hopefully you're feeling a little more confident about tackling your taxes now.
I hope so. Taxes don't have to be a total nightmare. Little planning, little preparation, you can make it smoother and maybe even save some money along the way.
And if you're feeling overwhelmed, remember there's help. The IRS website, those tax pros, they're there to guide you.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to reach out. Taxes are confusing. We're all in this together.
Love that. All right, that does it for part 2. Stay tuned for the final part where we'll wrap things up and look at some more specific tax situations.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We are on the final stretch of our tax adventure. Who knew taxes could be, well, not totally dreadful?
Right. We've covered so much ground, from organizing those documents to all those deductions and credits.
Yeah, even touched on record keeping, which I usually avoid like the plague.
But those records could be a lifesaver if you ever get audited. True. So before we wrap up this tax deep dive, let's zoom in on a few specific situations. Some of our listeners might be in these and need some extra insight.
Sounds good. Let's start with self-employment taxes.
Mm-hmm.
For freelancers, contractors, small business owners. They're responsible for paying both the employer and employee portions of Social Security and Medicare taxes.
Whoa, wait a minute. Both sides. That's kind of tough, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be a bit of a double whammy. But hey, there are ways to make it a little less painful.
Okay, tell me more. What can self-employed folks do to ease that burden?
Well, one of the best things is to be super diligent about tracking expenses. Make sure you're taking advantage of all those deductions available to self-employed individuals.
Such as, what kind of deductions are we talking about here?
You can deduct expenses related to your home office, health insurance premiums, business travel, and even some of those self-employment taxes we just talked about.
Ah, wow. That's pretty generous. It sounds like being your own boss has some perks after all.
It does. But remember, keep those records squeaky clean and make sure you understand the specific rules for the self-employed.
Great advice. Now, what about other situations? Like, let's say you've had a major life event recently.
Ah, yes. Life events can definitely throw a wrench in your tax situation. Marriage, divorce, having a baby, buying a house, starting a business, retiring, all these things can impact your taxes.
Okay, that makes sense. So, what should people do if they've experienced a big life change like that? Should they just assume things stay the same?
Definitely not. It's always best to do a little research on the IRS website or chat with a tax professional. You want to understand how that specific event might affect your taxes. Maybe you qualify for new deductions or credits, or maybe you need to adjust your withholding.
So, be proactive, right? Get ahead of the game.
Exactly. And since we're talking about things that can catch you off guard, let's talk about tax scams.
Uh-oh, that sounds a little scary.
I know, right? But don't worry, knowledge is power. Tax scams are unfortunately pretty common, especially during tax season. Scammers might try to impersonate the IRS, steal your info, or promise you some crazy refund that's just too good to be true.
Ah, that's awful. Okay, so what are some red flags to watch out for? How can we protect ourselves?
Here's the big one. The IRS will never contact you through phone, email, text, or social media asking for your personal or financial information.
Wait, so if I get an email that looks like it's from the IRS asking for my social security number, that's a scam.
100%. The IRS always initiates contacts through official mail. If you're ever unsure, call the IRS directly or check their website to verify.
Okay, good to know. Any other red flags we should watch out for?
Be wary of anyone who promises you a huge refund or charges a fee based on the percentage of your refund. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
So stay vigilant, be skeptical, and if you're ever in doubt, go straight to those official IRS channels.
You got it. And if you do come across a scam, report it to the IRS right away.
All right, folks, that brings us to the end of our tax deep dive. We've covered a lot, and hopefully you're feeling a little more confident about tackling your taxes.
I hope so. Remember, taxes don't have to be a nightmare. A little knowledge, a little planning, and you'll be good to go.
And if you're feeling overwhelmed, remember, there's help out there. The IRS website, tax professionals, they've got your back.
Exactly. Don't hesitate to reach out for help. We're all in this together. Taxes can be tricky.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us on this journey. It's been fun, even if it was about taxes.
Haha, I agree. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning, everyone.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.